Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Full Court Press MMA. I am your host, Drew Duncan. Do not forget that Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is all at Drew Duncan83. Additionally, you can find me on YouTube. Simply look up Drew Duncan. And don't forget to find our Full Court Press subsidiaries, the Full Court Press basketball and football as well. Folks, I am super excited to have our next guest on the program. In addition to being an accomplished physician, she has taken time off to get married and participate in raising 2 children. It has been nearly 5 years since her last fight, but she's ready to rock and roll, and she's right here on the Full Court Press MMA. Her name is Sarah Shell, a.k.a. TNT. Sarah, thank you so much for joining the program.
Thank you, Drew. That's a great introduction.
I get that a lot. I never know how to say you're welcome, so I just laugh. I don't know.
That's great. Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
You're very welcome. As I made mention, you're an accomplished physician. You and I talked a little bit. You do some work in aesthetics to all the MMA fighters across America and world over. Ma'am, I have to ask this question. Is there any cure for cauliflower ear?
For cauliflower ear, you got to keep draining it, but you're not going to have the most beautiful ears. You can protect it as much as you can in wrestling, but even with that, it's really hard to avoid.
So basically, I'm hearing if I'm a fighter and I've been doing this for 15 years, I might as well buckle up.
Basically, if you're a wrestler, yeah.
Sarah, as I made mention, you are an accomplished physician, and you as a physician know the risk of combat sports better than anybody. CTE has been out there in particular with the NFL, obviously with combat sports, and most states when you go to fight, they tell you and they make you sign paperwork that says you are responsible for anything that can happen up to and including death. So it begs the question, why are you as a physician risking your life to be inside that cage?
This is a good question. I mean, I'm sure, every fighter is well aware of the risks, and it's just, a risk that we take just to experience the ultimate physical and mental challenge. A fighter just, has that competitive drive. And so it's not really something that's on my mind. And certainly we prepare and we train to not, have to be in those situations where we are getting hit. The point of the game is to protect your face. And I do like to say now that my brain is my moneymaker. That's my job. So, I certainly want to protect it as much as I can so that I can, do my career. But I love to compete. And so, I really took off the last 4 years to complete medical school. And during medical school, I had 2 babies. And so it just worked out perfectly, that I could take off 4 years of fighting. And, a lot of people kind of ask me, like, why do you want to return? But that was always the plan to return. I just had to take it off for a little bit just so that I could start my family and my career. But it's always been the plan to get back to mixed martial arts and training and competing.
And I don't want to seem like I'm pontificating when I kind of re-ask the same question in a way, but Mike Tyson is quoted as saying very recently, fighting is for people who don't have anything. I just had Joshua Dempsey, the grandson of Jack Dempsey, on this program. He alluded to the very same thing. Look at your life. You seem to have everything, the family, the career, the husband, the kids. What's your motivation when you step into a cage?
That's a really good question. And really now when I think about it, I guess when I was younger and before I really had the career, I mean, I was always going through school. As I was fighting, I was completing my undergrad. I did my bachelor's of science in neuroscience. So that's what I was completing during the fight career that I have built up. So it's nothing new to me to be doing, school or work and other goals on the side. And I guess I'm a person who just likes to really have my plate full. That's how I operate well in life. And I just like to keep adding to my plate and pushing for more goals. And I guess as an athlete, I just have that drive to compete. And, I think now that I have kids and now that I have a family, that time that I take away for training is even more precious to me now. So if anything, I think getting back into it, I even have more to fight for now because it's not just, taking time away, for myself. I'm taking time away from my family to really train and prepare for this fight and competing.
We're talking to Sarah Shell right here on the Full Court Press MMA, aka TNT. Sarah, you mentioned neurology, and so it does beg the question, because obviously this has been going on for a long time with the NFL now, CTE and whatnot. While it is not as a big of a likelihood that it can happen as people make it out, there still is that very visible chance. So, and from a physician standpoint, not from a fighter standpoint, what's the advice and what are some things that you would tell parents whose kids want to get involved with any type of athletic activity whatsoever?
I think it's always important to protect yourself, of course, and there's different types of training. Certainly people like to spar 100%. Obviously I wouldn't recommend that for children. And really I don't even recommend that for any fighters at all. I don't think, it's necessary to take unnecessary damage until you're in the fight. So, there's also ways that you can alter your training so that you're not taking, unnecessary damage. So that would be something that, would definitely be something for parents. But I mean, I think children should always be wearing headgear if you are hitting the head. I think that the confidence and the discipline, the athleticism, the physical, mental drive that you benefit from competing in these sports is something that you really have to take into consideration. When you're trying to think of the negatives. I think there's far more positives to be taken into account for parents to take into account for their children and for all fighters. I think there's just far more positives.
Very well stated, Sarah. I don't think I can agree with you any more than I did right there. And it's been roughly 4 years now. I was talking again to your manager, Jason, about it. You kind of alluded to it. What kind of details can you give us about this potential upcoming bout that you're looking at?
I'm really excited about this coming up. It's going to be for LFA. So that's the Legacy Fighting Alliance. And that's going to be in Colorado, I don't want to butcher the time, May 4th, is it? May 3rd. So I just got my husband beside me telling me the time. So it's May 3rd. So May 3rd for LFA. My opponent, my husband's shushing me right now. I'm not supposed to say it right now. I'm actually in the process of signing the contract. It's supposed to be in my email today. So, I mean, the best thing I would say is just look back on my Facebook, but it is going to be at 115 pounds. And it's a really competitive opponent. So I'm really excited about it.
Obviously, one of the things about being a fighter is the travel time. Obviously, you're going to be going to Colorado. Right now, you're in AZ. Does that sort of thing kind of get to you after a while? I started thinking about things like jet lag, because I interviewed Uriah Hall one time, and he was not in a friendly mood that day, which is really not like him. But, the traveling, the weight cutting, everything else. Then on top of that, you're a mother, you're a wife, you're a physician, you have a very full-time practice, as we've made mention of a couple of times. How are you finding balance in all these things?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot to take into account. But luckily this is, 6-7 weeks away. I've got a lot of time to plan my who's taking care of the babies. I've scheduled off work, so all that's taken into place, and everybody knows that I'm in fight camp. So, everybody's stepping into gear and really kind of helping, kind of relieve a lot of the responsibilities that I typically have around the house and with the kids. But yeah, I mean, I love to travel and to certainly fight in another opponent's hometown. I really do feel like I'm a very calm and relaxed fighter. It's very hard for me to get too anxious or too worked up. I am honestly there for the competition. I hope my opponent, brings the best in her, and that's really what I hope for. I'm just looking for, a really good battle. I just love the competition. That's really the best that I can explain it.
Sarah, one of the things that you brought up there that I really want to hear you kind of go in depth on was everybody around me is stepping up in terms of, especially, taking care of the kids. Of course, you're going to have people looking out for your patients. Can you kind of give us some insight as to, because, as a fighter or an athlete in general, you have to have the support of the people that are around you. And I would love to hear all about that.
Yeah, I mean, it really does help to have everybody around you. For example, I have my parents. They're going to be flying in from Vancouver, Canada, and they'll be staying in Phoenix to take care of my kids during that week. My husband's going to be traveling with me that week, so my parents got to step up there. My husband's taken some days off work so that he can take care of the kids so that I can go to training. A lot of it really is kind of juggling around our two babies. We have a 1 and a 2-year-old. And it's just a totally new family dynamic, and we're still getting used to it to this day. And really everybody stepping up, really helping manage the kids and making sure that, we're still giving them the attention that they have. Also, I do have to say too that my coaches, based on my schedule, they really work around their time to give me privates around my schedule, because it's difficult for me to come during the team training times, at least 5 days a week. So they really work it around so that I can get at least two training times in a day.
And when I hear you speak right now, I mean, to me, this is the essence of being a fighter. Everybody's got a different background, and everybody has a different reason for being involved in the fight game. But regardless of whatever drives you, to get to this point, to be a professional fighter, takes every ounce of your being.
Yeah, it's absolutely the best way to describe it. And really, you do have to push yourself the hardest that you can. You really are against the cage. At the end of the day, you're against someone who really wants to hurt you. And really, that's the ultimate physical and mental challenge, is to prepare for that kind of competition. And yeah, you really have to put your entire being into it. 100%. I agree with you.
Sarah, this is the part of the show where I give all of my interviewees an opportunity to say whatever it is that's on their mind. There is no right or wrong answer here. The floor is 100% yours.
Well, I mean, I'll just take this opportunity to thank everybody. Of course, my husband, Ryan Stell, my parents, my manager, Jason Adams. And yeah, I mean, and that's about all right now. Of course, all my coaches, I got a lot of people behind me, in going into this fight. So I'm really excited. I'm going to be a whole new fighter, and I'm really excited to really just be a positive influence for moms, for, anybody just trying to live their life and still live their dreams. And, we always have to work a full-time job and live life, but a lot of us have those dreams that we still want to push. And I'd love to be an influence to show people that we can still do it.
Sarah, it was a true pleasure to have you on the program today. I loved all of your insight and your willingness to answer any question that I threw at you. It really was amazing. You were so quick and to the point. I loved every moment of it. It was a great interview.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, Drew. I really appreciate the opportunity.
You're very welcome. All right, everybody. She is Sarah Shell, a.k.a. TNT, and she's looking at the paperwork right now. Couldn't give us all the information on it, but gave us what she could, and we'll be seeing her soon once again in the cage. I am Drew Duncan, host of the Full Court Press MMA. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is all at DrewDuncan83. When you share our post, use the hashtag Don't You Dare Touch That Dial. And as always, don't you dare touch that dial.